Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a special guest. This is Joff. Hello, Joff. How are you?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me on, Brian.
Yes, and thank you for coming on. So let's start with you kind of giving everybody a little bit of a background about you. I know you're doing the carnivore diet, how long you've been doing it, that type of thing, why you started doing it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So, again, my name is Joff, spelt with an O. It'll be good morning from where I am. It's 10 a.m. here in Brisbane, Australia. So, as you can tell with my accent, I have an Australian accent, and it's been a journey for me over the last 2 years and 3 months, I think. No, 2 years and 4 months, where I've done this thing called the carnivore diet, which Brian has alluded to. Yeah. Um, and, pretty much since then, life has been um, vastly improved. And it's something that I'm here on YouTube for. I'm on this little mission of mine to ensure that people know about this. And uh, a little bit of a backstory about myself. I'm a registered nurse. I am 32 years of age. Wow, I don't know why I had to think about that, but yeah, 32 years of age. And I have basically been on this health crusade trying to, help people improve their lives. Hence why I got into the career which I'm doing. And, to sort of trim down how it all happened, well, I came across health problems which now I know weren't so much of a problem, but I was told that number one, at the age of 18, I had high cholesterol. I had a history of cardiovascular disease in my family, and that I need to be careful and watch out for all things related to eating fats and blocking up your arteries. So one day I walked out of a clinic after having some blood tests done. Doctors said, "Yeah, you definitely have this high cholesterol levels that we need to control. So either you need to change your lifestyle or take a pill," which was, of course, the statin drug. And funny enough, I actually found an old script that a GP had prescribed to me, which I'll post on my social media for the laughs. But yeah, I was pretty much told I had to do these things to lower my cholesterol. So that was the first hiccup in, my health journey. So the doctor said, to change your life around, you will need to do this: eat a low fat diet, and have a really well balanced diet, which we can help you with through our dietitian. And I will refer you to this dietitian, and you will see this dietitian, which I did. And yes, as you could tell, it was standard, health advice: eat a low fat diet, high fiber, high vegetables, plenty of fruit, all those things. And on top of that, the doctor also told me to start exercising a little bit more because, that might help as well with lowering your cholesterol. So I signed up for a gym membership. Yay, I was, such a uh, good person, following all the correct advice that had been uh, told to me by these health professionals. I thought there was no way I was gonna fail at this. This was, I with my sort of personality, I'm all in. So I like to commit to what I'm doing. And so for about a year, in my late teens, I committed to this healthy lifestyle: go to the gym, eat a balanced meal, balanced diet. And I came back a year later to get my bloods tested. Guess what? My cholesterol didn't drop. It remained high. And so I thought, this is strange. Must be to do with my genetics, as the doctor had alluded to. So, and pretty much every year was just a repeat of the same thing. Up until I got to my mid 20s, the doctor started to just give me this prescription. Hey, I think you might need to start taking the statin drug. Um, you know, you've tried everything. Uh, and up until a point where actually one of the doctors that I saw told me that, yeah, there's no way you're going to avoid actually um, not taking a statin drug. You're going to have to take a cholesterol lowering medication either now or in the next few years, or you will die. So, um, so that sunk into my head, and it started to really bother me because, well, if it's not the diet, if it's not the exercise that I'm doing wrong, it must be me. It's my genes. It's my fault for having these genes in the first place. There's nothing I can do about this. So I just basically went to heck with the diet. I'll stick to what I love doing, which was going to the gym and working out, exercising, because it made me feel great. It made me feel good. I was getting stronger, leaner, um, and I was putting on more mass, which now I attribute to a lot of fat gain. But unfortunately, with that came a tirade of health symptoms that I was experiencing. I started to get palpitations. I started to get shortness of breath. I started to get chest pain, which worsened as I aged to my 30s, to a point where my body just could not cope with it. I was near my 30s. I had put on close to 30 pounds of weight since I hit my 20s. I became what you would consider obese. Um, and the symptoms just got worse and worse to a point where it really debilitated me to where it affected day to day life. And I then hit a point where I was starting to make regular visits to the emergency department. I started to make these regular trips to my GP, the doctors. They did tests on me. They did, echocardiograms, stress tests, Holter monitors, you name it. They did the whole lot. While they didn't find anything definitive, the problems that they did say was, well, you've got a heart murmur, which is, I think it was grade 3, a very mild heart murmur, and you're definitely hypertensive. You're sitting at the 160s with your blood pressure, and these symptoms that you're having aren't anything to um, take lightly. So you must take medications now, otherwise it really will affect your life um, for the worse. So I bit the bullet. I took the statin. I was put on antihypertensives, and on top of the physical things that were happening to me, my mental health just declined. I was just anxious about everything, um, you know, uh, to a point where I just could not function, and really the anxiety took more out of me than the physiological things that were going on. Until I come across the low carb space because of all the searching I've done online, how I could fix these issues that I was having. I came across this term called inflammation, and I thought I hit jackpot here. So I thought, yeah, this is heart disease is an inflammatory condition. I think. Unfortunately, I fell into the traps of let's eat these superfoods, which would help lower your inflammation. So I went into this thing called the Mediterranean diet. I went into a very plant based lifestyle, which actually over the course of a few months didn't do anything to improve my health. If anything, it made it worse. I put on more weight. I had this joint pain that I'd never experienced before. My cardiovascular disease symptoms did not resolve. And I basically just thought that this is not the fix. Like, what is going on? So, fortunately, I was introduced to the low carb space through a colleague of mine, and he basically said sugar is a cause of inflammation. and which I didn't believe at first because my nursing brain kicked in and said, "Well, that can't be entirely true because we need sugar and glucose for our body to survive, and that's been drilled to us as health professionals." So while I think excessive sugar might be definitely a contributor to inflammation, surely a low carb diet wouldn't fix that. Until one day I just bit the bullet and just said, "Let's do it. Let's get into the low carb diets," and it was making me feel great. I was doing so well, and so it was just natural for me to start looking more into it online. And then I started, dabbling into the keto space, about trying to, really reduce your carbohydrates down to pretty much none. Um, and again, it just progressed from there. This carnivore thing popped out of nowhere. Dr. Ken Berry just appeared in my YouTube searches, and he said that, you know, actually, you don't need plants or vegetables, fruits in your diet. So, which I thought that was crazy. I'm sure you would have had a similar experience too, but it was very absurd to me because who would subsist on just eating meat alone? And you know, that fear in my mind still stuck to me. That maybe cholesterol might be still a contributor, and I know that eating saturated fats will increase your cholesterol. Well, that's what I thought at the time. But hey, I did it. I just said, let's get into it and just give it a go. And then the minute I decided to switch my diet from low carb keto to carnivore, I thought, what foods am I going to get rid of first? And I realized that actually, while I've been eating low carb, I cannot name more than 10 things that were non-carnivore. So basically, I thought to myself, I'm already doing a carnivore diet anyway. Let's just get rid of the the non-carbohydrate, non-carnivore things out of my diet. And boy, it just life changed. The weight loss accelerated to a point where every week I was just shedding all this water and fat out of my body. And they talk about the euphoria and the energy when you first get into this fat adapted state. Oh boy, you couldn't tell me that um, that wasn't true because I felt like I could fly to the moon just with the energy that I was having. I just felt like a superhuman. And the inflammation, you would think, you couldn't really notice, your body, um, you know, basically losing its, getting out of this inflammatory state. I felt like, a huge relief. Like my body just said, "Oh my God, thank you. All these decades you've eaten all this crap. Now I just feel like I'm back to normal." Um, and a bunch of other symptoms, of course, that just uh, were alleviated out of my life that I didn't think were a problem. Like, who would have thought that going 3 to 4 times a day wasn't normal? Going to, sitting over the toilet and just, you know, it was just surreal that I thought these things were normal. Um, and so yeah, 2.5 years later, pretty much, and here I am living life to the fullest. So that's everything in a nutshell.
Wow, that's great. 2.5 years. So you've been doing it longer than me. I'm boy, like 2, 3 months short of 2 years. So I'm a little bit less time doing the diet. Um, but so you mentioned the weight loss. How do you know
Mm.
how much exactly you've lost in that time period?
So it was about 90 pounds.
Wow.
90 pounds, yeah, give or take. Now, and it's remained stable around that time. I've put on a few pounds here and there, but for the most part, I haven't really gained too much weight.
Hmm,
Mm.
yeah. And do you still work out like you used to before carnivore?
So before carnivore, I actually, so 2 years prior to carnivore, I had to stop. working out because of the heart disease stuff that was going on.
Mhm.
The joint pain. I just stopped completely going to the gym, stopped doing any sort of, uh, any sort of exercise. But going into carnivore, um, when I started to lose the fat, I started training again, and pretty much I trained as I did, uh, a couple of years ago, but I feel even much more. I feel fitter. I feel stronger. I feel much better in terms of my physical status.
Okay,
Mm.
good. So how about your blood work? You mentioned like your cholesterol before going on carnivore. What is that like now? What and so you've been for 2 years. So what was it like when you first started and then over time here over 2 years, has it changed really or is it still pretty much consistent?
So, Brian, I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I haven't actually checked my blood tests since since I walked out since the last time I walked out of the doctor's office. Um, the minute I actually started watching one particular YouTuber online, a mutual contact of ours, Professor Bart K.
Yeah.
Um, it just clicked to me. I thought, why am I checking my cholesterol for? Is it a cause for is it a cause of heart disease to begin with? And so, when obviously you learn from Bart K that there's actually no evidence to support that cholesterol, saturated fat, or LDL cause heart disease. I just It made sense to me. I thought, right. Well, rather than waste my money and my time going to the doctor's office checking something that I don't really consider to be a risk factor for heart disease, let's just not check it. So, yeah, that's my confession.
No, that's okay. It and it kind of makes sense. So where I'm at, like my doctor just left, so I have to find a new doctor anyway.
Hmm.
But I'm really putting it off because I'm like, you know how hard it is to find a doctor that actually
Yeah.
supports new evidence and not goes back to say, well, we have all these studies that show that cholesterol is a problem, right? So
Hmm.
it makes perfect sense to me that you just stop doing it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a tough one, and I'm still struggling with it, trying to figure out, myself what I need to do or whatever. But so it makes sense.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And my I'll just quick story. One of the experiences I had, one of my last experiences I had with the GP told me that if you continued this lifestyle, um, this is what would happen to you. And so after that, I said, I'm never coming back to this clinic again. And so pretty much from there, I just said, nah, if this is how they're going to, act when I come back next time, there's really no point for me to go back again.
Yeah.
So
It's funny because I lost like 85 pounds or so in a year. And my doctor was like, "Wow, man, you've lost a lot of weight. That is great. You're doing a
yeah.
great job." And he asked me how I was doing it. I didn't have enough guts to say it was carnivore, so I just said low carb. And as soon as I
Yeah.
said that, he's like, "That's really bad. You gotta stop doing it." I
Oh
just lost a
God.
just you just said I look great. I lost a bunch of weight, but now you're telling me I gotta stop
Yeah.
doing it just because it was low carb? I mean, come on.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with how to sort of change that because, modern medicine is just it's so I feel like it's just a big fraternity. And so all the teachings and all the education that the doctors receive about things like cholesterol is just stock standard, and anything outside of that you kind of have to go out your way. Like Dr. Chafee and Dr. Sean Baker, they had to go through pretty much their own anecdotes to realize that hey, this is actually not what we've been taught is wrong. So I cannot imagine how you could change that in the space of medicine. Mm.
Yeah. And you're a registered nurse, so you have pretty much
Mm.
firsthand experience with what they're telling you to do, right?
I do, yes, yes, definitely. Yeah, boy, I've got stories to tell, but probably not enough in this session. But
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So we've talked a bit about your diet. What else are you doing in terms of your body? And again, you're much younger than me. You said you're in your early 30s. I'm 50, so I'm up there a bit more in age. But always good to start working on your body at a younger age, right? Keep it in
yeah.
top shape. So what other things do you do? You mentioned exercise, you mentioned the diet. Is there anything else that you do to make sure that your body is staying in tip top shape and going to be around for a long time, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So the first thing I probably do that I would consider outside of the carnivore diet. Actually, before I go into that space, we are so fortunate in this carnivore space where we've got a community of people who have so many things to share, and you don't just learn about carnivore itself. You learn about other things in your life that you could improve on. So things like grounding and being connected to the earth. I've been practicing that. I think that's definitely impacted my life for the better. But who would have thought that having skin contact to the earth would do things like lower inflammation, improve blood flow, and viscosity. It's just my nursing brain at the time of learning this thing, it just couldn't compute. Like, we have medications for that. But yeah, so I do grounding. I connect myself to the earth as much as possible. I should just cut this short. I basically follow Bart K's 5 health hacks.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
grounding, blocking out blue light at night, exercising, of course, and I also take the cerule product range, and which is something that I really do want to talk about today because, as you mentioned, I may be considered by a lot of people to be young, and you know when people go on to when people start to improve things in their life through the carnivore diet, they feel like that, and I definitely did too. You feel like it's just the carnivore diet. This is all I need to do to improve my life. But when I started to learn about adult stem cells, when Professor Bartkay introduced this concept, well, actually, he didn't introduce it. He highlighted it a lot more for me because I knew about adult stem cells before, but it made more sense that we actually need adult stem cells in our physiology because you know we damage our cells every single day through our entirety of our lives. There's no way to avoid with the environment we live in, you know how we can defend ourselves from every single thing. And diet is just one of those things. We can go through a list of things that would damage our cells and tissues, but it just makes sense that you would need adult stem cells, and to increase the amount of adult stem cells in your blood circulation to target these damaged cells. That is a powerful thing. That is powerful. And so it took me a while to actually muster up and reach out to Professor Bart K to say, yeah, look, I'm actually interested in cerule. And I wanted to give it a go. Um, and so I started taking the products. I took Stem Enhance Ultra, and it. I must say, personally for myself, I didn't experience many changes towards my health up until the 2 month mark. And you know, the thing I was talking about with this whole euphoria and increased energy with the carnivore diet, you know, after a few months, that became, just a standard norm. It just felt like it was a normal thing. But 2 months after I started taking Stem Enhance Ultra, my energy levels just I just started to feel more energized, and um, I started to get uh, you know better recovery in the gym. I started to you know experience sorry, not experience. So one of the issues that still persisted in my health with even when I was on a carnivore diet was I had really bad skin dermatitis. I still do to this day, but I noticed when I started taking Stem Enhanced Ultra that also improved, and I no longer had these big breakouts of dermatitis, which already improved with carnivore, but even more so with taking this product. And so, yeah, I basically became an IBO after that. I thought, man, I need to tell people about this as well because this is a very, um, you know, it was so beneficial to me that and looking at the science and how adult stem cells work, I think people need to actually take this product, you know, on top of the carnivore diet, and even more so if you're not in, if you're not on the carnivore diet. Um, so yeah, and I should also make that disclaimer that yes, I am an IBO, and also that these were just anecdotes of mine. These were personal experiences. I'm not claiming any therapeutic claims you know, um, with the product alone. Just what I experienced when taking that product in association with taking the product. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing, and also another thing that uh, um, I would say another thing that is very underrated in terms, and it's not so much the physical side of things, but psychologically, it really has helped me connecting with people online like yourself, Brian, and just being a part of a community. And I think if we're looking back at how we're sort of hardwired and how we've evolved as human beings, um, we are tribalistic at nature, and I think this community has really also helped um, elated my psychological and mental health as well. So I would consider that to be something else I'm doing on top of my day to day things is just trying to stay connected within this community. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, so I want to go back to something you said about Stem Enhance Ultra, and
Mm,
I'm glad that you said this. Um, so you said it was like a couple months before you really noticed anything yourself, and I
mm,
think that's an important thing to put out there because um, I think we as a society are looking for that magic pill, that magic fix that works overnight, right? And
mm.
that's why so many people don't even want to change their diet. They just want to take the medication, right?
Yeah, yeah. Mm,
So
pretty much.
it's a great point with taking Stem Enhance Ultra. Um, I would say the same thing. Like I was probably a couple months in of taking it, and
Mm,
by the way, I'm taking Stem Enhance Ultra as well. Um,
yeah.
and I was probably a couple months into really starting to see some changes. And the key point to that is that a lot of people will be like, okay, I'll give it a try. But they give it a try for like 30 days
Yeah.
and they don't really see any changes and they just stop. And
Mm,
so I can tell you, like, it starts working really quickly. Like the first time you take it, within like 45 minutes, it's working on releasing some of those adult stem cells that were stuck and can't
mm,
get into your marrow, right? So
yeah.
it starts working. But the thing is that you don't know what in your body it needs to attack the most,
Exactly.
right?
Mm,
So it could be some kind of underlining thing that you don't even know that you have going on. Let's say you have some slight kidney or liver damage, maybe some fatty liver, that type of thing,
mm,
right? It's going to attack that type of thing, and you might not even notice anything with it. And it could even take a few months before you get to start to notice some of the other changes
Mm,
like higher energy and so forth that you're going to see from the Stem Enhance Ultra because of that. So I think
mm,
that's a key point that, is important for people to understand that some people might notice things right away, and then other people it might take a few months before they do notice something. So,
mm,
if anybody out there does decide to take Stem Enhance Ultra, make sure you give it a true shot, 60, 90 days or so. Because
100%. Mm,
I can tell you, it definitely does what it's intended to do, to release those, adult stem
mm,
cells. What we can't really say because of, the FDA is that, hey, it cures this or it fixes this, right? We can tell
mm,
you our experiences, and like you shared your experience, I can share, experiences that I've had and so forth. But I can't say that that's necessarily going to heal that for other people and so forth. That's just my experience. But I do
mm,
know that it does what it's intended to do. It releases those adult stem cells. By the time you're, I believe it's age 50, you have 50% of your adult stem cells in
mm,
your body that are being released. By the time you're, I think it's 65, I think it's age 65, you only have 10% of your adult stem cells being
mm,
released on your own. So if you're taking something that's going to help to get those on stuck and release those stem cells, that's going to increase the percentage. And the key thing
mm,
with the adult stem cells is that they basically, like you said, they renew and repair your cells and so forth. You
mm.
talk about Barquet. Perfect example with him is he had I think it was an ankle or a foot injury or something like that,
Yeah,
like about a year
yeah,
ago, and
yeah.
he was supposed to be, I think, like in a cast or something for like, boy, I want to say like 8 to 10 weeks or something like that. He was in it for 2 weeks.
Mm,
Now
mm,
he did up the number of the Stem Enhanced Ultra that he was taking, the number of capsules per day, but that helped to, in his experience, it helped to his recovery time quicker, right? And it makes
yeah, yeah,
perfect
yeah.
sense because of
Mm,
what your adult stem cells do. It makes perfect sense that that would help with that.
yeah. 100%. And actually that was quite amazing. It was really only a couple of weeks. And then I started seeing him exercising and putting weight on that foot. I thought, oh, that was speedy.
Yeah.
But I just want to add on there, Brian, too. Going, you know, I've often been told by people like, the carnivore diet is a fix. You lower your inflammation, you improve a lot of things in your body, but it's really your adult stem cells that repair and renew the damaged cells. So, for a lot of us, myself, uh, you, and other people, you know, um, who have had the damage done to our bodies and through you know, our systems, uh, we need that repair and renew system, and I think that's really you know it's underlooked. I think, in my opinion, uh, so if you think about um the carnivore diet being a way to open things up in your body and physiologically function as normal. I think of these adult stem cells as these troopers that will come in and patch up the damaged parts of your body that has been destroyed by the external things that have put pressures in our body, like diet. So yeah. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, do you take any other cerule products, or is it just the Stem Enhance Ultra?
I actually take Stem Enhance Ultra. I take Plasma Flow, um, which helps with the blood circulation and clearing out of the fibrin within your microvasculature to help allow, obviously, adult stem cells to reach um, certain tissues and cells. And I take the eluded me Cyactive. Um, so I take pretty much the three first responders, Cyactive being the anti-inflammatory of them. And yeah, it's been
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah. Great. And I take all three of those as well. I also more recently started taking collagen, so
Oh wow.
I did a fourth product in there. Yeah. So
Nice,
we'll see how
nice.
that goes. Yep.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channel. And
Mm.
there's in the description, I'm gonna have, your channel link so people can go to your channel. But just tell us a little bit about your channel and what you do there.
Right. So, yeah, I'm on YouTube. You can follow me at. I've recently changed my handle, so it's the RN Carnivore. And so basically, yeah, for the last year or two, I've been promoting the carnivore diet and have been interviewing people, which I'm about to do with Brian on my channel as well. Um, and yeah, you can find my content there. There's you know a lot of interviews I've done with people, and I'm also on Instagram. If you want to follow me there, uh, it's at the underscore rn underscore carnivore. So yeah, that's I think those are my social medias that I tend to use more
All
these
right.
days.
And I'll
Yeah,
have both of those in the description for everybody. So
yeah,
your mission for today is to go check out Joff's channels, his channel and his Instagram, and subscribe and stuff. I've watched some of his videos on YouTube. He's got some really good videos. You've had some live one-on-one interviews and so forth that you've
yes,
done, so those are pretty good.
mm-hmm.
And of course, even though they were live, you can still watch those after the fact on the channel as replays. So
Yeah,
don't forget that. Yep.
definitely, definitely.
All right, Joff. It was great talking to you. And any last words before we finish today?
Um, Look, I guess firstly, thank you again for having me on your channel. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, no last words. I'll see you guys on my YouTube channel for those who are, subscribe to Brian's, who are also going to subscribe to mine. Uh, yeah, look forward to seeing you guys on my live streams if you're coming along.
All right. And I think that maybe we should probably in sometime in the future do a live stream together too. That'd be pretty cool. So there
I
you go.
look forward to it. I
All
really do.
right. All right, great. All right. Thank you, everybody. And thanks, Joff.
Thank you.